Good morning. We are going to continue reading on in the book written by Greg Fernandez Jr., just happens to be me, Kennedy and Trump. We are now in part two. So I'm going to open this up and we are going to read through part two, Fight, Fight, Fight. I'm sure you can guess what that's all about. On the PDF, it is page number 75. I have updated this PDF since we last did a show here. Let's begin. How is a 20-year-old dietary aide making $16 an hour able to get close enough to shoot at President Trump 5 times before anyone responded with gunfire of their own? How does that happen? How does that happen? I really do want to check my audio. I apologize. I should have did this beforehand. Not trying to keep everybody waiting. I just want to make sure it's working okay. Not trying. There we go. Sounds good. All right. What would drive the engineering sciences graduate living with his parents to commit the unthinkable act against the 2024 Republican Party presidential nominee? 7 days before the rally, Thomas Matthew Crooks searched online for how far away was Oswald from Kennedy. The search suggests Crooks believed Lee Harvey Oswald killed President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd, 1963. The Zapruder film proves the fatal shot to Kennedy's head could not have come from the school book depository. Kennedy's head jolts back and to the left. Yet here was Crooks researching Oswald's distance from Kennedy, which was about 265 feet away, to see how close he needed to be to kill a former and future president. Crooks was less than 200 feet away from President Trump when he evaded 4 sniper teams, state police, local law enforcement, and Secret Service agents. So many things had to go wrong for all law enforcement and government agencies to be outsmarted by a lone gunman. Apparently, authorities within the state of Pennsylvania, FBI agents, and the Secret Service were not aware of Crooks before July 13, 2024. Like Oswald, Crooks may have had a handler. When authorities raided Crooks' house, they took silverware with them, possibly to obtain DNA from an outside source. That's speculation, but so is the theory that Crooks acted alone. I'm going to take a moment right there. I do believe there should be a comma. Going to update that. Where are we at here? Okay. Part 2. This would be page 69, okay? Page 69 and comma at top. All right. Moving on. During a Senate hearing 17 days after the shooting, Deputy Director of the FBI Paul Abate was asked about Crooks's use of encrypted apps online. I think we've experienced a range of returns on this, Abate answered under oath. Some of the applications that he was using online were encrypted in nature, some of the email accounts. Abate admitted the FBI has not been able to break into some of the encrypted data associated with Crooks. There are some that we have not been able to get information back because of their encrypted nature. Congressman Mike Waltz relayed the disturbing news to reporters about the overseas accounts related to Crooks. We haven't learned much about those overseas accounts, Waltz told reporters on August 21st, 2024. We do know that they were, if I get this correctly, Belgium, New England, and Germany. Waltz wondered why Crooks needed encrypted platforms, not even based in the United States, but based abroad, where most terrorist organizations know it's harder for our law enforcement to get into. That's a question I've had since day one. still hasn't been answered. In the book, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Dick Russell documents the evidence that Lee Harvey Oswald did have a handler, and his name was Richard Case Nagel. Likewise, it is excuse me. Likewise, it is possible Thomas Matthew Crooks had a handler that hasn't been identified yet. Unlike the case with Oswald, I do believe Crooks was the only one who fired a weapon at President Trump on July 13, 2024, but I am not convinced Crooks acted alone. Sorry, I had to hit the cough button there for a second. Even if you believe Crooks acted alone, you can see what would influence this lunatic to kill President Trump. So many have tried to compare President Trump to Adolf Hitler. That is ridiculous. How many people has Trump killed compared to Hitler? How many of those who claim to hate Hitler are guilty of anti Semitism? These haters are not the majority, in my opinion. They're just the loudest, most obnoxious, least educated, and in some cases, very influential upon the weak minded. Think about it. If you had a chance to kill Hitler, would you? If the government, the media, high profile political figures, and your colleagues were telling you President Trump was the greatest threat to America and he needed to be stopped, how seriously would you take those accusations? What should be done to stop the greatest threat ever since Hitler's attempt to exterminate all Jews? We may never know when Crooks and possibly associates or handlers drew up the plan to assassinate President Trump. We do know Crooks had less than 24 hours to study the specifics of the rally stage and the AGR building nearby. Crooks flew a drone unimpeded on the day of the rally and was able to map out everything he needed to believe he could kill the 45th President of the United States. The inexperienced 20-year-old assassin almost accomplished what most trained killers would never attempt. Only by the grace of God was President Trump's life spared that day. The threat on President Trump's life was serious. Joe Biden encouraged Americans to put a target on Trump. Many in the mainstream media continued to spread propaganda against Trump. Social media has been censoring many pro-Trump posts and reposts for many years. The Biden administration targeted Trump with lawfare, using the courts to go after their political enemy ever since the 45th President of the United States announced he was running for re-election. The real threat was clear, and it wasn't President Trump. The failures of the Secret Service and the FBI were also clear. As noted in the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs investigative report from September 2024, it appears that the addition of the USSS counter snipers to the security detail at the rally was a direct result of credible intelligence. However, only 2 of the USSS personnel the committee has interviewed were made aware that there was a credible threat related to former President Trump prior to July 13th, only one of whom was made aware of the classified information underlying the threat. Even with credible threats against President Trump's life, extra precautions were not put in place by the head of the Secret Service. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheeto was more concerned with protecting her agents from a slippery slope on the AGR building. That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point, Director Cheeto said during an interview. So there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody on a sloped roof. So the decision was made to secure the building from inside. The Secret Service's technical issues with a bad Ethernet cord allowed Crooks to fly a drone on the day of the event without anyone noticing. During the House Judiciary Committee hearing on July 24, 2024, FBI Director Christopher Wray couldn't admit a bullet struck President Trump. FBI Director Christopher Wray wouldn't admit a bullet struck President Trump. With respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that hit his ear. So it's conceivable as I sit here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else. Had the FBI director spoke with the doctor who treated President Trump's ear, he could have gotten a clear answer within hours of the incident. The doctor at the hospital said he never saw anything like this, Trump later recalled in an interview with the New York Post. He called it a miracle. Senator Ted Cruz would later ask, "Has there ever been anyone in American history who after being shot in the head stands up and responds, 'Fight, fight, fight'?" President Trump's immediate response to the attempted assassination motivated his supporters to continue the good fight and forced his enemies to contemplate how far they were willing to go to defeat their enemy. As a country, we were given a moment to consider what should happen next. We were also given a moment to think about how we got here. There is a lot we may never know about Matthew Thomas Crooks, but what we do know can only help unravel the mystery of the motive. So far, officials have been unable to find a motive. But that doesn't mean a motive doesn't exist. Looking at how all government agencies fumbled the ball with protecting Trump, no one seems surprised an official motive has never been presented. At the time of the shooting, Crooks worked as a dietary aide at Bethel Park Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, making $16 an hour. He lived an hour away from the fairgrounds in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. On January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden's inauguration day, Crooks donated $15 to the Progressive Turnout Project, PTP. According to their website, turnoutpac.org, Progressive Turnout Project is the largest voter contact organization in the country, specifically dedicated to mobilizing the Democratic Party and defending democracy. Crooks was 17 years old at the time. Crooks unsubscribed from PTP 2 years ago, according to a Progressive Turnout Project spokesman. To vote in the 2024 Republican Party primary election in the state of Pennsylvania, Crooks had to register as a Republican by April 8, 2024. It's not clear who Crooks voted for, but I'm guessing it wasn't for President Trump. His only other choices would have been Nikki Haley or a write-in candidate. Are we to believe Crooks voted for Trump in the primary and then tried to kill him 3 months later? It's possible, but highly unlikely. I'm not sure if Crooks voted in person or by mail, but the Pennsylvania Republican Party primary took place on April 23, 2024. President Trump received 790,477 votes, 82.8% of the votes cast. Nikki Haley only received 157,581 votes. There were 6,677 write-in votes as well. When looking for a motive, authorities should do everything possible to see who Crooks most likely voted for. I hope they tried their best. According to the FBI, Crooks' online searches included how to build an explosive, and his social media history going back to 2019 espoused political violence. What do we know about Crooks' parents? His mother and father were both social workers, and neither were Republicans. Crooks' dad was a registered Democrat, and his mother was Crooks' dad was a registered Libertarian, and his mother was a registered Democrat. Crooks' father was confronted by Fox News Digital while leaving a local store with an overflowing shopping cart, walking with an unnamed female who was wearing a white face mask. Crooks' father, Matthew, was asked, "Why would your son want to kill the president?" "Back off," the masked person shouted. "No comment," answered Matthew Crooks. "No comment," the masked person echoed. "Were there warning signs, Matthew?" another person with Fox News Digital asked. "No comment," Matthew Crooks repeated. "How's Mary holding up?" "No comment," the masked person responded. We will release a statement when our legal counsel advises us to do so, Matthew Crooks answered. Until then, we have no comment. We just want to try and take care of ourselves right now, so please give us our space. Have the feds released the body to you yet? The video from July 23rd ends there. This is one of the most important questions the media asked about the failed assassin. Republican Congressman Clay Higgins, tasked with investigating the assassination, discovered that the FBI released the body for cremation 10 days after Thomas Matthew Crooks was killed by a Secret Service sniper. That would be the same day Crooks's father was questioned by Fox News Digital. Representative Higgins wouldn't find out about the cremation of Crooks until August 5th. The rally. The earliest date Crooks could have known about the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania was on July 3, 2024, when the event was announced. 3 days later, Crooks searched online for where will Trump speak from at the Butler Farm Show. 3 days later, Crooks searched online for where will Trump speak from at the Butler Farm Show. That's a tongue twister. According to testimony by FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate, on July 6, the shooter registered to attend the rally and performed a search for how far was Oswald from Kennedy. On July 7th, the shooter traveled from his home to Butler Farm Show. On July 7th, the shooter traveled from his home to the Butler Farm Show grounds and remained there for approximately 20 minutes. I'm going to stop right there for today. Just a nice little had a few minutes here to do some more reading. Look through the book as I continue to do before the global distribution of the book Kennedy and Trump is put out there. But it's been a blessing to write it. It's been a great challenge to kind of keep my own thoughts and personal feelings out of it as much as possible. And I hope it will be helpful and beneficial and historical to the next generations of our children and of the people of this great country and this great world. It's very important for me to try to document this experience, this once-in-a-lifetime experience of Kennedy and Trump combining into one. It's been great. There's so much more, and everything that Kennedy is doing right now is amazing with the health of our nation. Small steps, some baby steps there, but that's okay. We're taking steps in the right direction. God bless you all. Until next time, Jesus Christ loves you. So do I.